Hi, today I'm going to show you how to actually finish preparing your room and start your actual painting. So the first thing you want to do is just take everything down and remove anything that you possibly can from the walls or small floor, furniture items and things like that. So with my bed, what I like to use are these moving sliders. I bought these at Harbor Freight. I can't recall where these came from, but almost every home goods store carries them. For the bed, I like this large size, and you can see that there were 4 of them. So we just simply put them, you lift your bed up. Sometimes it takes a little bit of effort. To just lift this bed up and then slide them underneath there. And then you can glide them around fairly easily. So for any large piece of furniture, I highly recommend these. My aunt actually just leaves them because she moves her furniture so often. The next thing then is to take down any curtains or fabrics that might be in your room. When you go to take down your curtains, the easiest way, as you can see, is to take them off. Is just go ahead and pull out the end that wants to naturally come off anyway, and move it aside. I would dust it, the end cap here, as you take it off, and then take these and throw them in your dryer on fluff cycle. You'll be amazed what kind of dust is on them that you just don't even think about. Especially if you're like me and you have more than one puppy dog, in my case 2 Labradoodles. So once you've done that, you can see I've got my furnace grate here. I'm going to go ahead and take my cover off. I would also suggest taking this to the sink and rinsing it off as well. It almost always has some kind of dog hair on it. Then you're ready to take off all of your outlets. So you'll need a screwdriver for that, and you just simply want to go to all of those outlets, and remember, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So in this case, we're going to the left. We'll just simply remove it. Oftentimes these are dusty, so you might want to take these and clean them in the sink as well. Once you've gotten this much done, I always like to have a rag, and I'll go around. This is wet because my dogs do have a lot of fur and dust and dander, and with my hair too. So you want to wipe down all your walls and your floorboards so that everything is cleaned off and ready to have paint applied. So just simply go around all of those areas. Most of the time I'll keep my rag handy and I'll wipe my walls as I go. So just before I'm ready to paint that area, I'll wipe it. This rag could be dry if you wanted. Like I said, I just like it wet when I'm probably dealing with a lot of hair. So now you're ready to start taping. I'm going to take my frog tape, and I am simply going to pull off an amount. You want to make sure that you get really close to the wall and cover the woodwork. So I am putting that on. I'm going to come over down here on the bottom so that you guys can see better what it is I'm doing. So I pull it off, and I'm going to come down here with my Lego, and I'm getting right up against the wall, and then I just simply slide my finger down so I have a nice covered seal. So that's our taping. I like to do at least a wall at a time so that I'm ready to go. I do even underneath the window frame so that I don't have to worry. I know no one probably is going to see it except for the next guy to go paint. That I think it's important to keep your woodwork all looking nice and paint free. So I tape all underneath there and across the top. Then when you take down your artwork, take your art down and pull your nail hole, not nail hole. Then get your spackle, which I seem to have left way over here. Move all your artwork into a place where you're not going to hurt it, and put your nails all corralled somewhere where you can find them easy later. Then just take your spackle again. Now, my husband and I, we differ on how this should be done. I like to just put my spackle right into my hole and wipe this excess off right when I'm there. And then it's already filled the hole and it's ready to go. My husband likes to put a lot of spackle on, like daubing it on, which sometimes I think is necessary when you have a really bad spot. Then he likes to let it dry and go back and sand it. You could also put it on and then just take a rag and wipe across it. You can see my rag's getting dirty, like so. So once you've spackled all your walls, you've taped everything, and you've wiped them down, you're about ready to go. One last thing that I like to take care of is with my vacuum, with the nozzle on, I like to vacuum right up against the floorboards, because oftentimes you don't realize how dusty they are until you have things moved away far enough to reach, especially under my bed, where there might have been a small animal living. Now we're ready to go. So I got my paint tray. I have got my drop cloth, which I'm going to go ahead and pull on out a little further here. Excuse me, Lego. Thank you. So I've got it in my spot where I have some tape. I left my brushes and roller. So put your roller on your handle. Go ahead and set it in there. Have your brush ready. Make sure that your drop cloth really goes to the edge and doesn't expose any carpet. Now, I opened this up and I had just had it poured, and so I didn't think I was going to have to stir it, so I didn't bring my stir stick up. So if you run into the same thing, make sure you use the free stir stick that they gave you. I'm going to try and use my paintbrush since I did not bring up a stir stick. Try and get your stir stick down in there and really get it stirred up good. So then you'll be ready to pour it. When you're pouring, don't just pour as fast as you can. Pour at a moderate speed, and then when you have it about as full as you want, really start to slow down and shake it. That will keep the paint from going all over the side. It still goes some, so go ahead and go back in and get that all cleaned up like so that you don't have it pouring off the edge. Then it's important to put this paint can somewhere where you're not going to accidentally knock it over. Sometimes I will take it all the way into the bathroom so that it's in the bathroom, and then I have an old pillowcase that I just set it on top of. For now, I'm just going to set it right up against the wall and put my tape on top of it and my can opener lid. So now I'm ready to go. When I'm painting across the edges, I first take my paintbrush and I just do the trim work. So I'm going to just come in here and I'm going to paint along and along, and I would paint along here. Make sure you guys can see that. Paint along there. And get all that trim. Make sure you come out a little ways so that when you go to get your roller, that you have it cleared enough. I'm going to wait to show you the roller part until I show you the ceiling. So when I go up to do my ceiling work, I'm going to take my ladder and I'm going to move it in. I like to move my ladder sideways most of the time to my work. Occasionally I'll move it so that it's facing this way, but most of the time I move it this direction. So really it's whatever direction you're most comfortable working. Then I take my paintbrush. If you notice, I never get my paintbrush deeper in the paint than here. That's a common mistake with painting artwork or with painting walls, is that we get the paint far too back in our brush. So I just simply dip it in, and I always wipe a little excess off. So it's about 1/4 of an inch covered. Then I want to come up here. I have not wiped up here. So I'm going to go ahead and take my rag and I'm going to go across. A lot of times there is unseen spider webs Ooh, again, picked up some kind of dirt somewhere on my rag that you did not realize were there until you start to wipe. So go ahead and wipe those walls again. Then take your paintbrush. I don't tape my ceiling. Instead, I work very slowly and I go right up against. The harder I push, so if I push really hard, I'm going to work down here a little bit. If I push really hard, it makes a really wide swoop and it's a lot harder to control. If I don't push quite as hard, so I'm not pushing very hard at all, then I go right up against the wall and the ceiling at the same time. So I go ahead and I paint all of this upper part. So I'm going to go ahead and step up again, get right up next to my work. I like to come back to the very place where I started to a lot of times because usually there's an excessive amount of paint there, and if I don't go across it, it'll start to drip later. So be careful about that because those drip marks are not very attractive once they start to dry and you catch them later on. Then you do have to get the sandpaper out. So the other things you could do at your ceiling is you could go ahead and tape it, and then you could just take your tape down. My mother likes to use a really small artist brush, and then she just comes right along the edge with the artist brush. So all three of those methods would work, whatever you feel most comfortable with. Just painting it outright really just comes with some practice. Now I'm ready to get my roller ready. I am turning it and trying to coat it nice and evenly on both sides. Once I have it loaded, then I usually do an up and down method. Some people tell you to do a W, but along the ceiling, I almost always turn it and go vertically with the ceiling. That way I don't accidentally get crazy like this and then hit my ceiling top, which I have been known to do even still. So it takes a little extra to go along the ceiling and get a nice coat. Then sometimes I even will use both hands to really get the paint to move around. Even though I went here first, go back over it. Because again, if you have excessive paint and it starts to slide down later on, it will make drip marks. So I'm going to just continue to do this until my brush is about empty or my roller is about empty. A lot of times I try and get as low as I can go while I'm still on my ladder, like so. And then I would simply just continue to move down the walls. Most of the time I either do all the high first and then do all the low first, or I do all the low first and then the high. So it's a little less moving my ladder. So happy painting, and I'll show you next time how to clean up and put your room back together. Thank you.